Welcome to the World Unity Week and our room journeys into new earth frequencies and sacred geometry. Antonia and Albano and I are honored to introduce to you three amazing people who will be presenting to us today: Maureen Edwardson, Connie Baxter, Marlow, and Andrew Cameron Bailey. Let's learn a little bit about them. Maureen Edwardson, futurist, pioneer, author, originator of inner resonance technologies, fully explained in her book, Your Magical Evolutionary Code Unleashed, The Science of Inner Resonance, endorsed on the front cover by Dr. Bruce Lipton, who says, quote, Maureen's pioneering offers are vital to our evolution. Maureen has shared IRT for 30 years, including U.S. Bureau of Indian Affairs, national conferences, and U.S. tribal schools, with shamans of the altar in Siberia and PhDs from research institutes in Russia and Scandinavia. Maureen is a delegate of an SM Horizons Unified Field Theory Physics, which demonstrates that we are indeed connected to the oneness. Maureen has an online international practice facilitating the wake-up empowerment of the global system with individuals and groups who are creating breakthrough ways which address our current crises, facilitating the much-needed shift of our collective paradigm. I experienced, by the way, one of our sessions, and all I can say is, wow. Okay, Connie Baxter, Marlow, and Andrew Cameron Bailey. These two are original thinkers, writers, photographers, filmmakers, futurists, and public speakers. Their exploration into the nature of reality have led to a unique articulation of the conscious, loving, abundant nature of the universe. Their book, The Trust Frequency, 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm, presents a system of cosmological axioms informed by indigenous cosmology, unified physics, and Eastern and Western mysticism, which resolves key paradoxes that keep humanity from walking in balance with universal law with an open heart. They offer straightforward and practical tools for assessing the trust frequency, an alternative reality where the soul's destiny awaits. The laws are expanded, and there is more balance, beauty, joy, and abundance than we can fathom. They believe the only way out of humanity's current challenges is up to a higher level of consciousness through a deeper understanding of the nature of the universe. Today, Maureen, Connie, and Andrew are here to tell us about the trust frequency along with inner resource technologies. They say this will be a process-oriented hour, as they say, a rapid transit to the new earth. Wow. Welcome, guys.
Thank you, Janice. So we'll start off with Maureen. So we'll turn it over to Maureen.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whenever you're watching this. I'm delighted always to co-present with Connie and Andrew. Our works are so resonant as we have a lot of fun together as well, which I think is essential in life. And so I would just love to introduce you to the fast track part of this paradigm of trust, because we know we have a lot of things in the way of trusting, a lot of old experiences. And so who knew it could be so fast and so simple? Because as we remember who we truly are as spiritual beings, beyond time, beyond space, we can bump ourselves up into our quantum selves where everything's known without having to figure it out or know why. All that's information, as Dr. Bruce Lipton says, we're all out of our minds because the mind is in the field all around us, and that we're like the radio receiving the signals, and acting it out. And so the body is an instant responder to infinite consciousness. And so this is a short version today to take you through an experience of clearing your particular field, plus the collective simultaneously, because we are one. And so that as what we have for one, we have for all. And so we're impacting as we're working on this quantum level where everything and everyone is connected. And so I invite you to a beautiful breath, just breathing in and out of your heart center, because we know that alone creates coherence. And as we breathe, we're remembering who we truly are as spiritual beings, breathing our spirit, our portion of great spirit, and the infinite conscious loving universe that we're all part of and one with. And so now allowing ourselves just to be present with our breath. And for those that have belief systems that have spiritual support teams of one kind or another, and just a note that probably few of those are on this particular forum. However, people can be agnostic or atheist and still allow our quantum selves, because it's science, it's who we are. We are infinite beyond measure. And so breathing in and out of your heart center, remembering who you are as an infinite part of the infinite universe, and saying yes and thank you, keeping it simple, to all of your spiritual support team. And yes and thank you, they know who they are. And then breathing with awareness of your body. And your body is this quantum superconductor operating at room temperature. We are 0 point energy. So as we breathe into this incredible miracle machine, we want to make sure that it's really awake, because we've forgotten sometimes, or we've gone to sleep ourselves. Our body is just kind of going la, 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 operating on default. So let's just wake it up. And so let's just say those words together, all together, whatever room, country, space, time you're in. And that would be the words, wake up, body. So I'm going to count to 3. Let's just all say that together here. 1, 2, 3. Wake up, body. Yay, a wonderful choir. Thank you so much. And we're all awake together, and we're now at the command center, believe it or not. Beyond belief, creating new realities is the tagline of Inner Resonance Technologies. So what are we choosing? Let's just start by choosing to clear the field of anything old interference programs and patterns that are no longer relevant or useful, serving any useful positive purpose. And there's the difference in those words. Not a purpose to keep us small, but a no longer useful positive purpose for our higher good and the higher good of all. And so it's as simple as saying, let's just then now allow all unresolved issues, known and unknown, to be addressed and dissolved and neutralized in all the ways that we are unnecessarily being limited physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, and relationships of every kind, particularly that relationship with us and our greatest self, our greatest source, the all of everything that is, whatever name we put on the conscious loving universe. Everything that limits us from being in that full sense of trust of our own selves, part of and one with all that is. And so we include all levels of memory in a specifically general way, your whole life, every microsecond, going all the way back to when you popped into the world, all the time you swam around inside, drinking up your mama's soup, right to conception. And beyond, all of the ancestral memory of your DNA is also in your field. And beyond that, all your soul memory, past, present, future, concurrent, parallel, all collapse into this fresh moment of now, which is all what we all only ever have. The power of now, presence, free and clear in an expanded connectivity, receptivity, inspiration, and creativity to choose again in a new level of alignment and freedom. And so now just taking another deeper breath in and out of your heart center. Breathing home. And we include the whole memory of the history of creation because we're breathing holographic particles of memory from the whole history of the planet with every breath. Physically, we are one, all my relations. And then the galactic memory in that greater cosmic field of wholeness, which is love that holds us in that remembrance. And so now we are also inviting all of our multidimensional selves to come into a new level of coherent alignment with the next level expression of our greatest truth of who we truly are, free and clear of anything that's no longer relevant. And so here we are in this space beyond worlds, allowing everything to shift simultaneously and instantaneously. Because in our quantum self, there is no time. And so now allowing yourself to choose for everything to unfold, because we are actually in command of our personal universe, says quantum unified field physics of Maureen and others. So we are choosing only what is the safest and most appropriate for us and all concerned at all times as everything unfolds. That's important, isn't it? The safety. And we're choosing effortless grace. Open to greater ease and gentleness. Just say yes. Just say yes. These questions are all designed for yes. And then allowing the part ready to go to the next level of freedom and passion and purpose and alignment and harmony and balance, allowing that part of you to be in charge. And an important agreement is to also allow the part of you that's open to something different being possible in a different way to also be in charge. And so one last question, and then I'll invite Andrew to come in with a beautiful meditation to take us into beautiful feeling places of the mind, heart, and spirit, while everything at the quantum level is getting shifted miraculously in that space where everything is known. And that is allowing the part of us, that higher self, that quantum self, and all of our spiritual team to have permission to play in that great mystery where everything is known. And so as that happens, everything is going to be now totally automatically shifted in the neutralizing those signals that are no longer aligned with our greater truth. Thank you, Andrew. So breathing in and out of your heart center while Andrew takes us through this beautiful meditation.
Thank you, Maureen. That was beautiful. That was the perfect preamble to where we're about to go. It was like the tour guide is giving you you're on the bus, you're on the train, and you're about to arrive at the station and then hike into this other reality. And the tour guide is going to say, now, don't go slipping down any waterfalls and look out for snakes. But more than that, trust your footing, trust your guidance, trust yourself, your deepest inner self. So let's close our eyes And let's become very, very quiet, meaning that inner voice of ours that's always jumping around trying to get attention because we forgot to take the laundry out or whatever it was. There's always something, but it'll be there when we get back, so don't worry about a thing. Just be still and listen. And I'm going to try to say as few words as I can, and yet take us on an extraordinary journey. So we are, as Bruce Lipton said, out of our minds. And if we're not out of our minds yet, we're about to get out of our minds because we're going to move into our hearts. So please, stillness centered in your heart, in my heart, in our heart, because we are one heart. Just feel the peace, the tranquility, the wholeness, the health. And let's ask ourselves, are we ready for an adventure? Are we ready for an adventure, perhaps to a place we've never been? With no guarantee we know how to get there. With no guarantee we know the way back. And yet, we trust the loving universe. And we know that there is nothing to fear, everything to trust. I think we all know what a shamanic journey is. So let's go on a very brief, maybe 2.5 to 3 minute trip to infinity. Let's start out by going inward. I, and by that I refers to each of us here. I am centered in this warm, beating heart, sitting on this chair in front of a computer screen. Or at least that's what I think I am. I am this heart. And I'm going to go as deep as I possibly can into my heart, into the darkness, the depths, to the place from whence I came. And the deeper I go, the darker it gets. But not a frightening darkness, just a gentle darkness, the perfect darkness for deep sleep. And in the midst of this deep sleep, we're going to enter a dream. And in that dream, we're simply sliding down a tunnel, a warm, beautiful tunnel, sort of like a blood vessel might be sliding down a vein in our body. And we're going downward and inward and downward and inward, searching for infinity, searching for a place that is real, searching for a place that is timeless. What does that mean? Well, we may not get there on this particular journey because it takes not work, but it takes play. It takes the willingness to plunge into this gorgeous game called life. And to say, okay, I am going to go to the very, very depths of the universe. I'm going to go all the way back in time. I'm going to go all the way down in space to just a tiny little bit before the Big Bang. Are we there yet? Right. And what we learn here is that the universe is pixelated. That's odd. That's a digital technology term, but it actually refers very specifically to the smallest component of this enormous universe. And if we go to the tiniest pixel, it's called the Planck, P-L-A-N-C-K, after Max Planck, the German physicist, the Planck unit. It's the tiniest thing which has been discovered to exist or postulated to exist in the mathematics of the study of quantum physics. Here we are at that tiniest of places. And looking at this pixel, let's have a look at it. What does it look like? Ooh, I think it might also be something called a black hole. A black hole? Yes, a black hole. A tiny, an infinitely tiny black hole. And it's beckoning to us. It's asking us if we have the courage to enter. Well, do we dare? Will we make it back? I don't know. Let's see what happens as we approach the entrance to the black hole. Whew. When we get a glimpse of what's in there, it looks like yet another tunnel. It might even be that thing, that phenomenon called a wormhole. And now we're getting drawn into it. There's no turning back. There's nothing we can do. Here we go into that tiny Planck scale wormhole. Whew. Whoa. I don't know about you, but I'm still here. So what if we open our eyes? What happens then? Whoa, we're in the macro universe as well, because they're one and the same thing. The deeper we go, the higher we are. The smaller we are, the vaster we are, because it's all the same thing. There is no space. There is no time. We made it up. And it's so much fun. And by we, I truly mean we. We includes every sentient being in all of the universes ever imagined by the one central creator, who is us. So, welcome home. Here we are.
Here we are.
Oh, did we lose anybody?
Welcome back, everyone. We are the smallest and we are the largest. It's holographic and fractal. And once we understand that and act accordingly, and knowing that every thought we have affects all that is, then we can take responsibility for what our thoughts and feelings and emotions are. So, Maureen, are you going to do a little touch breath to anchor all this in? Thank you very much.
Well, just everyone focus back in your heart and your breath, just breathing in and out. As inner resonance allows you to go into those deeper places, then expressed delightfully and playfully by Andrew's meditation. So we were all one. So as we breathe in to the center of our hearts, 360 from all directions, just breathing back out into this rhythm of the nature of the universe as we breathe into the microcosm and we breathe out a spiral breath out into the macrocosm. So we are breathing in and we are breathing out. And just notice how you're feeling. Because while all this was, we were taken on this beautiful journey, in the background, all the fear, all of any buildup of stress, any old resistance has just been getting neutralized. And so if you notice that deeper sense of relaxation and expansion and groundedness at the same time, just notice that as you breathe in and out of your heart. And you might want to put your hand on your heart. We're going to create a switch because the neurons that fire together wire together. So we're going to create this switch of the chemistry of wholeness. and this frequency of freedom to be more of ourselves than ever before, more connected, more grounded, more centered. Just breathing in and out with awareness of your heart, finding a feeling, a thought of appreciation, of gratitude. That's always good to mix into the chemistry of wholeness and that frequency of greater freedom to be more of our greater selves than ever before, right here, right now. Well, simultaneously streaming awareness, marinating it all together, your touch and your heart breathing, thoughts and feelings of gratitude and appreciation and love, 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 love. And so I invite you into 5 deeper breaths to program this switch that you will have access to on a daily basis. So just breathing in while you're touching, and breathe out, just let your hand drop. And breathing in and touching again. And breathing out, letting go. 3 more times, breathing in and touching. Breathing out, letting your just self to relax. 4th, breathing in. And breathing out. Last time, breathing in. And breathing in love, and just breathing out love. So we've programmed that into that spot. And so it's available anytime, especially before you wake up or before you go to sleep. Those are fundamental times to create that increased efficiency of your cellular rejuvenation and your dream time sorting things through. And then in the morning, it just allows that program, that new program of wholeness and frequency of your greater freedom to be your greatest self, to continue running in the background. And then what happens? So when that happens, just take a single touch and a breath. Here we are back into that clear, free, full-on matrix of our wholeness. Instantly free in that moment of what was no longer needed or relevant. So we move forward, going from strength to strength. And I invite you to practice this every day. And notice, invite you to notice what happens. And we'll go into this more completely tomorrow. However, in the meantime, we have a treat of the conscious loving universe and the trust frequency with 10 new awarenesses and understandings of a new paradigm and certain beliefs that we really want to flip. And Connie and Andrew take us to that place of those 10 new assumptions for a new paradigm. Yeah, I say it's a new paradigm. And I'll circle back at the end just to anchor in all of the delicious experience with a simple touch breath.
Thank you, Maureen, for that touch breath switch to be able to get to that place of acceptance and knowing of the infinite and allowing new assumptions to come forth and come into one's being. Because that's the thing of the challenge of letting go of what's been in receiving what is and what our hearts know. These aren't really new assumptions. They're just new assumptions for this time because they're universal assumptions that take us into that place of being able to totally walk in absolute trust of a conscious, loving, abundant universe. So thank you for clearing the track. And Andrew, thank you so much for your beautiful meditation, taking us there into that wormhole, that tiniest
You made it back
place.
okay?
I made it back
Okay.
okay.
I might have missed you if you.
Yeah. So we will now go into our definitions and our 10 assumptions. And so here we go. Hi, y'all. We just take over the spotlight and we're going to just go through our definitions because we use words in a different way than you'll find in the dictionary. So that will set the stage for the 10 assumptions. And then we'll go through our 10 assumptions, which you basically heard many of them with Maureen, because this is a universal entryway into a frequency where there is only love. And so we will take you there.
So we call them the definitions, and what they are is terminology. What do we mean by certain terms? Some of them are exactly discoverable in your handy dictionary. Others, you'll know the word, but you will not find this definition or this explanation of the meaning of that term, because we're using it in a radically different way. So we feel that it's important to have this to preface the next step, which is to go into the 10 assumptions. And there are those who say, I just want to say a word on assumptions. Okay, and you'll hear these first several definitions are on that subject. They say, do not make assumptions, do not assume. Sorry, we have to make certain assumptions. I have to be certain that the air I breathe is not toxic, or the water I drink, on and on. We make thousands of assumptions constantly. It's much more about those assumptions that make up our worldview. So this whole work, the trust frequency work, is about having a good look at our worldview, our actual, the way we understand reality, and asking ourselves the question, if we look at, when did somebody last walk up to you on the street and say, excuse me, what are your 10 most fundamental beliefs? That's what we're asking here. What are your 10 most, 10's a random number, just arbitrary, but if we can get just 10 of them and look at the current assumption and ask ourselves the question, where did I get that from? And the answer is probably we got it from somebody by the time we were 3 or 5 or 7 years old. Do we believe that? Do we truly believe that? If so, that's fine. But what if, with our current perspective, we see that it's actually erroneous? And what if we have a whole worldview constructed from erroneous beliefs? And I believe, and I don't think it's an erroneous belief, that many people are living their lives based on erroneous beliefs. So that's the point of this work, okay?
Yeah, and the prior scientific paradigm separated us from our hearts and the rest of creation. And that paradigm is leaving with the new unified physics coming forth. And these 10 assumptions are a combination of the ancient wisdom of the indigenous people and the new physics that are actually proving it. But physics can't prove the heart and the spirit and the love that's in the human heart. And indigenous cosmology has brought us that. And so that's what these 10 assumptions are a synthesis of the indigenous knowing and the physics, as well as the Eastern and Western mysticism, because that mystical connection to the universe has brought us through the millennia information about where we're headed now that it's time to open the heart and walk in alignment with the conscious loving universe in our hearts. So here we go with our definitions. Assumption, a core belief that we take to be true without question. And we're just going to run through these quickly because we've got the 10 assumptions.
So that's pretty much what you'd find in the dictionary. An assumption is a core belief which we take to be true without question. It's also known as an axiom. A paradigm. What is a paradigm? We hear this thing, we need a paradigm shift. We need, what does that mean? A paradigm is a set of agreed upon assumptions which create a consensus reality. Okay,
Yeah.
so those two things together are critical to understanding what we're about to present.
10 assumptions for a new paradigm, the trust frequency. So, and humanity, here's a big one. Okay, this is foundational. It has many clues to our work in it. Okay, humanity is a collection of divine, autonomous, sovereign beings who have chosen to incarnate on earth to learn and grow on their soul's journey to wholeness, self-acceptance, and self-love, and alignment with our divinity and our purpose. Okay, so we gave an overarching act of free will to come on this planet and go on this journey. So here we go. We'll keep going.
So the next one is love, Love, maybe the most misunderstood and misused word in the universe. Love with a capital L. Love is the fundamental, unifying, and creative force of the universe. You will not find that one in the dictionary.
Right.
So when we use the word love with a capital L, we're talking about that energy. It's really interchangeable with energy, the primordial energy of the universe, the life force of the energy of the universe, that from which we are in the process of emerging. Love.
Frequency, the vibratory rate that determines the characteristics of a particular reality. There is a wide range of frequencies, each with its own reality and its own distinct laws. So it's all energy, it's all vibration, it's all frequency, and we get to choose our frequency. So
that's critical. That's actually one of the abilities that the human has. We can raise our frequency, we can lower our frequency, we can be as depressed as we like, or we can be as ecstatic as we like. It's up to us. So the trust frequency, what do we mean by that? The trust frequency? Well, here's how Connie put it, something like this. See if I can get it right. Where the soul's destiny awaits with more abundance, balance, freedom, and joy than we can fathom. It's where the true nature of the universe is experienced.
yes, and we'll go into it further with our 10 assumptions. So here we have free will.
Yes.
Yes, the right to choose one's frequency.
So this is the point. Free will, the main purpose of having free will is we have the right to choose our frequency. And by choosing our frequency, we actually are choosing the kind of life we live, the kind of world or universe we experience.
Exactly.
It's huge.
Free will, I just did free will. Circumstance, the seemingly uncontrollable outward events that influence our decisions.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
I think that's probably close to a dictionary definition,
Yeah.
right? Circumstances are those things that influence our path through life, right? So consciousness, here's a tough one for the physicists among us. And for centuries, it seems that the word consciousness was elusive in its definition. So this is what we came up with. Firstly, there's two kinds of consciousness that we as human beings experience. First one is universal consciousness. We're part of something absolutely huge, and that thing is actually consciousness. You could also think of it as love because it's also the same thing. It's the primordial life energy of the universe. And then human consciousness, that which I, as Andrew, experience, and each of us as seemingly separate entities experience it. The active and passive phenomena of awareness, assumption, attitude, attention, alignment, action, and allowing. And those 7 attributes of consciousness taken together determine our frequency. And note that they all began with the letter A.
Yes, and this is part of our 10 assumptions. So we'll go to the universe. All that is both manifest and unmanifest, also known as God, Creator, Atman, and so on. We call it the conscious, loving universe.
And I grew up in South Africa among those Zulus, and they call it Unkulunkulu. You've heard of Ubuntu? Well, here's another Zulu word for you. Unkulunkulu. That's their word for creator, for God, for the conscious, loving universe. Just for the fun of it, I thought I'd drop that in.
Yeah, cool.
I mean, you know.
Cool. So here are our 10 assumptions, and we've touched on them in the definitions, and so we'll go through our 10 assumptions. And the first one is, we live in a conscious, loving universe. There is only love. Now, we ask you for this exercise to take these assumptions as absolutely true.
Remember, an assumption is a belief that we take to be true without question. So if we can go unquestioningly into this, it wasn't that easy for me because I was raised as a scientist, right? So the universe is what? It's this giant clockwork machine. No, it's not. We live in a conscious, loving universe consisting entirely of love. And remember what love is? Not holding hands. Love is that primordial life energy that is actually this emergent thing that we describe as the universe.
And if we take it as absolutely true, there is only love, then what about the things we see as not love? That brings forth a paradox of the first water. And this is this huge paradox that we have to move out of. We have to resolve that paradox in our hearts and minds and know that everything is love, even the things we see as not love. And the reason we see things as not love is because we don't understand the nature of that love. And that is our second assumption. The universe loves us unconditionally. It gives us everything we ask for. Now, that's a different definition of unconditional love. It gives us everything we ask for. What are our requests is the big question. And so
the third assumption, we phrased it this way. We create reality by the power of our consciousness. In other words, we're making a very big statement there. We're saying that we have power, we have agency, we have the ability to create reality. I mean, is this actually ultimately true? And the answer is yes. It doesn't mean that you can think that a rock is a tree and it becomes a tree. There's a lot of rules and a lot of agreements at very fundamental levels. But we, and think about that word we, what does that mean? It means everything that I, as an apparently separate individual, am totally connected to, I am fully entangled with, to use a science term, that energy which creates reality through consciousness. Consciousness came first. The material world came later. The implicate order was, and it still exists, is a realm of pure consciousness with all this potential. And then the explicate order, it's a tough one, is the result of that. It's like creator and creation. It's like spirit and matter. Okay.
Yeah, and so we have our individual consciousness that affects that implicate order to bring it into explicate. And I was just listening to Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden, and Bruce was saying that A to Z, we create reality with our consciousness. So that was a real confirmation of what we're bringing here.
He gets it.
Yes, and Bruce is a big fan of Maureen Edwardson. So here we go into our next assumption, which is, okay, what are our requests to the conscious loving universe? We mentioned the 7 A's in our definitions. So these 7 A's of consciousness determine our frequency and are our requests to the universe. So there's 2 ways of looking at this. It's physics its frequency, its vibration, and it's our request to this conscious loving universe that must give us, because it's really physics.
It is us.
It is us, and it's pure unadulterated physics. So we have these 7 A's in one sentence, and this sentence is a little toolkit for one to just check as far as where one's 7 A's are during the day.
7 A's.
7
7
A's.
words
7 words that begin with the letter A.
Mhm.
So here they are in one sentence. With and listen to the modifiers. With expanded awareness, we choose our attitude. Oh, hold on. With expanded awareness and accurate assumptions, we choose our attitude. Consciously direct our attention, align with our highest inner promptings, take committed action, and allow the loving universe to manifest beyond our wildest dreams.
Okay, so that's a mantra. Ready? We can sing it.
Sing it, yeah. We'll put that to music and have it be a mantra.
Okay, so on to assumption number 5. Now, I think what we've just shared right now is totally transformative. Now, there are many of us who are perhaps already there. Many of you listening to this are possibly, this is you going, well, I know that, I've always known that. So good. Then we're getting somewhere, because I suspect that the vast majority of humankind is not there yet. So this is part of the path to the future. Okay, so free will, free will and determinism, right? Free will, listen to this. Free will is an absolute law of the universe. We have the freedom to choose our frequency. We are masters of our own destiny. And I would have to say that we forgot that. And once we remember that and mobilize and make that our bottom line, that we know that we have total free will, that too changes everything. All of a sudden we are not victims, and especially we're not victims of
circumstance, which is our next assumption. Circumstance guides us on our journey to wholeness. It loves us more than we do. And on the subject of free will, I asked, okay, I wanted to resolve that paradox of determinism and free will. And what I got was what we mentioned in our definition of humanity, and that is this overarching act of free will when we incarnated on the planet. So we're asking you to take these as absolutely true for this exercise. And so when we gave that overarching act of free will to go on our journey to self-love and self-acceptance and alignment with our divinity and our purpose, we set ourselves up for quite a ride. And we deal with this in our online course called The Dance of Souls, because everything in our life happens for us, not to us, even those things we see as not love. And so that's another big subject. But meanwhile, we'll go into the 7th assumption, which is
there is only now, this precious present moment.
Living trustingly in the now, we experience the true nature of the universe. The now is the gateway to the trust frequency. We can't get there with our memories of the past and our projections into the future. We've got to be right here, right now. And as we are losing our memories and we're finding ourselves thrown into the now because we can't trust what had been because it wasn't aligned with the human heart and human spirit, and it's leaving, and we don't know what is coming. So we have to just be in the now and trust that now and just be there, be here now.
It makes all the difference in the world. The 8th assumption, All of creation is one. Separation is a man-made illusion. We are the conscious, loving universe.
Yes, and that's a unified physics showing us that we are that Planck scale, sub-Planck. Isn't there a sub-Planck even?
We're imagining that. Nobody's found such a thing.
Nobody's
yet.
found such a
Nobody's
thing.
yet.
Okay. So anyway, that we are that, and we are the universe. So we are it. So it's so exciting that the science is proving that to us now. And
Okay, so the ninth assumption, here's a really big question on our evolutionary journey. See what you think of this one. Humanity is on an evolutionary upward spiral, leading inexorably to a higher reality, the trust frequency, also known as heaven on earth.
yes, that's so true. And what I've seen and understood is that the earth has been in a lower frequency. So it was a lower frequency of fear and separation and scarcity. And we've been responding to those energies. All races have responded to that energy, and we've been doing really crummy things to each other in the past. And as the earth is transitioning into a higher frequency, and the more information is becoming available to us, and new information and new ways of being we're being pulled forward into this new way of being. We can just go with it, and as it comes to us, we are one. We start just opening our hearts to that oneness and to the abundance of the universe, and let go of fear and move into trust. That shifts our frequency as we keep up with the earth as she transitions into a higher frequency.
So the 10th assumption, now many minds at this point may be going, wait a minute, this is good heavens, I mean, come on, give me a break. However, we did ask you to take these assumptions as absolutely true, and we do the same with the 10th assumption. Please take this as absolutely true. The trust frequency is a real place of unfathomable joy, peace, and abundance that is freely available to anyone, anywhere, anytime. And with those 10 assumptions, if we can actually replace the ones that we had an hour ago with these 10, I propose that we would have a much more beautiful life experience. And if we did this collectively, we would create the new earth that we are all longing for.
Yeah, we would keep up with the earth as she's transitioning. So we've got that work to do so that we can keep up with her. We've got to go into our shadow, into those parts of ourselves we don't love, into those lower vibrations, and release them into the light, so that we can go forward and we can feed the collective consciousness with that higher vibration. That's our responsibility once we understand how key we are to the evolution of the cosmos, that all of creation is awaiting the love in the human heart, awaiting that human heart, our human heart, to open and release the love therein. And that's a different love. That love that's in our hearts, that's compassion, that's empathy, that's kindness, that's all those things that we're moving into now with our behaviors as we access our hearts. So all of creation is like, okay, humanity, you're doing great. You've been transmuting those energies of separation and fear and scarcity. And we're just so proud of you, humanity, even though you think you're just you're not okay because of all the horrible things you've done as a result of that lower energy. Well, guess what, humanity? You are so special in all of creation. So keep it up. And so that's our 10 assumptions. And now we'll go back to Maureen, who is going to do a little locking it in with a touch breath, and then we'll have a little conversation with anybody who chooses to have some questions. We have a little more time, and here's Maureen.
Hey, Maureen.
Yes, Maureen.
Over to you.
And so here we are with potentially conflicting belief systems, and yet we are rising into a harmonic that all is truth. And whatever doorway we come through that into the next level, that IRT, inner resonance technologies, represents the next level of not having to dive into your shadow. We don't have to re-experience or relive anything. What a grace that is. Yes, indeed. Because everything is just existing in the field. Remember, we're all out of our mind, and all of our consciousness is sitting in informational patterns of energy, and our quantum self knows how to neutralize what's not relevant or useful to any positive purpose for us and the collective. And so if there's any resistance, any static, in our fields, we can instantly do our touch breath that brings us into that chemistry of wholeness and that frequency of greater freedom as we're evolving into our next levels of understanding and oneness and unity consciousness. And anything that separates us out at any given moment, we can just do that touch breath. So I invite everybody into that space of your heart as we get out of our minds into the mindless movement of the present moment of our hearts, and allowing anything that no longer serves the greater good of ourselves and the collective to just be breathed. Just breathing in and out of your heart center. Put your hand on your heart. And as we breathe 5 more times, to bring into a coherent alignment all that is in our greatest good, in our greatest understandings, taking us into that next greater understanding of who we truly are, and accepting what's right for us in this moment. Let's just breathe together. Just feeling the thoughts of appreciation for different points of view, and tolerance, and open-hearted drinking in the juice of life in all these different presentations this week. Such a feast. And bringing it on home as you breathe in and out of your own heart center, as we breathe together in and out of our heart centers as one. Remembering what you love, what you appreciate, what you're grateful for. So breathing in and touching, and breathing out, letting go. So we upgrade into this next level of our freedom, breathing in and touching. Breathing out, letting go. 3rd time, breathing in, breathing out. And if love is all there is, let's breathe in love. And let's breathe out love. Breathing in love, fanning the heart flames of our light, and breathing out that light of love, where no shadows are possible. And thank you all so much. Such a joy to be here all together.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us. And if anybody has any questions or thoughts, we will address those one way or the other. How do we do that now? Do people put it in the chat?
Can people raise their hands? No, they're not on the screen, are they? Right.
And we can put it in the chat, or there's a little reactions button down below, and a place there for raise your hand. Just click the little reactions, and that will raise your hand, and or just unmute yourself and start talking.
Mm-hmm.
Either one.
Everybody at once.
Yeah, well.
All right.
Any thoughts? Any questions?
Any comments?
Kat had a Kat. Hi, Kat.
Hey, Andrew and Connie
Hey,
and Maureen. So beautiful to participate in this event with you today. I'm curious, trust is such a key piece of what y'all are talking about. How do you recover when trust is broken?
I can answer that. You do
No.
your touch breath and
Okay.
clear what's not relevant, and then you have presence in the moment of inspiration of how to respond, because that way you depersonalize it, and then you come to it with a different perspective, different awareness, and you're able to speak your truth, very clearly and be heard very clearly. Without that, you did what I did, nothing, whatever. And so when trust is broken, yes, so we allow that disruption of our reaction to that to be neutralized. And then what emerges from that is it can be very inspired in that connectivity that we are not separate from. And then we get to use that, as Connie says, and Andrew say, as an opportunity. Everything is happening for us, not to us.
Yes, and what from the Dance of Souls perspective, as our journey to self-love, that everything we gave permission, and our soul could have even asked that person to break the trust, so that, see, our soul magnetizes behavior in others so that it can feel those feelings of less than, I'm not okay. Obviously, if they wouldn't have done this to me if I were okay. Stuff like that. It shows us, it's a mirror to us, to our subconscious, stuff that's so deep in our subconscious that desperately wants to get out. And so, in these times, it's so important that it does get out. So stuff is coming at us to show us those parts so that we can bring the gift to the party we promised to bring, which is all of us, not just the parts we think people want to see and our culture wants to see, because this new earth, this new time is calling forth this gift that we promised to bring to the party. And everything that's happened in our lives to date has prepared us for that. And now a broken trust, a behavior that's ultimately repeated throughout our lives that we notice is a repeated behavior, or one that triggers us, that's the sure sign that it's about us, that it's about our work, our journey to self-love.
And if I may say something, Kat, that is a fantastic question, because what you're asking here is, I think you're asking something like, the question is, what is the practical application of this philosophical construct that you've just presented? So really important. We are not saying to trust the President of the United States. We're not saying to trust that guy creeping around the back of your house. That's not what that is. We are saying to, firstly, trust yourself, to trust your feelings, to trust your intuition, to trust the loving universe, big picture, and to trust the process. And to trust that, as Connie just said, if somebody did something to us, they didn't do something to us. If we can have the attitude of gratitude that they did something for us, even though it sucked, even though we would not have chosen it, it's going to trigger growth in us. And as long as we trust ourselves and trust the universe of which we are part, takes sometimes time to look back and say, wow. Because it was, what's his name, Joseph Campbell, had three major things happen in his life, and they each began with a D. And I think one was a death, one was a divorce, and one was a disease. And he said toward the end of his life, if those three things hadn't happened, he would never have become the man he became. So to trust even that, the stuff that hurts, the stuff that just is horrible. I mean, it's just these horrible things that are happening all the time. How do we trust that that's okay? How do we trust that that's a loving universe manifesting in these terrible sounding or looking events?
Situations? But if we know that each soul chose to come on its journey, then if we take this as absolutely true, there's only one answer, that that soul chose that journey. We chose our parents, we magnetized the behavior. I mean, even in extreme circumstances, people are getting there now to move out of that victim and into, hey, that all served me. I mean, it's astounding where people go now who've experienced beyond anything we can fathom.
Absolutely, Connie. And based on that understanding and that belief, there's a little book that was written a few years ago called Radical Forgiveness. I don't know if anybody's heard of that book, Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping. And that's the premise, that at a soul level, we've chosen everything. And so there's nothing to forgive.
Nothing to forgive, that's the point.
Yeah, and everything to take as with knowing that there's a reason and an opportunity and everything to come back into that next level of empowerment and wholeness. And so that's a really cool little book, Radical Forgiveness.
But ultimately, that word isn't even in the vocabulary
even
in the
need
world
it
we
anymore.
live in.
Yeah.
I agree.
But
I agree.
with your work, Maureen, okay, you can go there with Maureen's work, with this IRT, to just go there and just choose that infinite
agreement.
self, a different agreement.
Mhm.
So we can just, like she says, it's the fast track. So we better close it now so that our next speaker can come on board, Melanie.
Melanie.
And just so everyone knows that Kat Haber introduced Maureen Edwardson and Connie and Andrew.
Yes, that was a moment.
FYI.
And I would like to also invite people to my presentation tomorrow on the Healing for Rising room at 12:30 p.m. for an hour and a half.
12:30 Pacific?
No.
12:30
Eastern, sorry. Yep, just check.
p.m. Eastern Daylight, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. So I hope to see some of you there.
And we
have one.
What do we have?
We have Shifting Frequencies, Indigenous Cosmology, and Unified Physics. And we go into all this in more depth and bring in some native elders and some science, etc. And that's on Wednesday in this room at 2:45. I think it's 2:45 Eastern. So we look forward to seeing you all there then. And we're just blessed to be in this room because there's just such a resonance between Antonia's work and Janice's work and Melanie's work and all the folks in this room. It's such important information for right now, that there's support, there's energetic support and love that's coming through to us. And all we have to do is do the work and sign up and align with it and walk it and bring new ways of being and new systems to the planet. So thank you so much for having this room and putting us all together. And we'll
thank you, Janice.
See you.
And Antonia and I are just thrilled at all of our presenters. I mean, it makes me cry. I'm so grateful.
Precious. I'm finding myself crying a lot more these days too. So as the heart is opening, like,
yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Yes, and I know that it was, such a full schedule. So I really appreciate you squeezing this time, we create time. So we appreciate it very much. Yeah, and I'm grateful that it's getting easier and easier for everything, for everyone. We're on that next level.
Yeah. Ease and grace.
Yeah.
Choose it and be it and do it.